welcome. I'm Andrea and I'm here in Cape Town with an invitation, special invitation for you today, because I would like you to come with me on a special journey into the world of animal communication. And I'm here with a very special lady, animal communicator that I had a chance to work with. And I would like to present you Wynter Worsthorne.
Hi,
So,
Andrea.
hello Wynter.
Hi Andrea, thank you for doing this. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, it's great to be here with you, to see your work, which is absolutely beautiful. And I really would like to share it with the world, because I think we are in times that are very important to actually balance our natural side, human side, and include animals into it.
You're very right there, Andrea. I think the animals are the one way that we can just get reconnected with nature and to have that balance. I think to heal the separation sickness that humanity is stuck in at the moment, and we're just on a path to self-destruction, it seems. So they can actually help us just by connecting with animals.
So you actually always had this special, I don't know, connection with animals. Maybe you can share your story, how you started.
Yeah, I've always had a deep love for animals, and that's all you really need to be able to have a connection with animals. It's all based on love and respect. So throughout, since I was very little, I just loved animals more than anyone, or more than anything, more than humans, of course. I've learned to love humans a bit more since then, but that's what I started with. I always wanted to work with animals, but in those days, 25 years ago, there was only the traditional ways, the veterinary, or even a little bit later on animal behavior, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different. So when I left school, I was very good at art and painting, so I developed a career in graphic design. I studied graphic design, and I was painting, and I always painted animals. That's how I shared my passion, I suppose, how I could express it. But I always wanted something more, and I always felt I wasn't doing enough. I was volunteering at different sanctuaries and working with cats and feral cats, which are domesticated cats that have gone wild. This is Sunshine. She used to be a little feral cat that I rescued.
Oh, welcome,
she
Sunshine.
rescued me, yes.
Here with us today.
But the older I got, and I just felt I needed to do more. And my story, my steps into the world of animal communication started when I went to see a Sangoma, which is an African shaman, here in Cape Town. And he told me, ancestors are telling you to wake up. And he said I needed to use my skills of intuition, that I wasn't listening to what was going on around me or inside me. And I needed to wake up now and do it, otherwise I just wouldn't succeed, basically, in what I was doing. So that set me on a path of discovery about my skills and my intuition. He showed me how I could feel energy, and I started investigating into doing animal healing, energy healing with animals. And then very soon afterwards I came across a book by Amelia Kincaid called Straight from the Horse's Mouth. And that is what I read, this book, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and it was about animal communication. I'd always known that animals could pick up our thoughts and feelings, but I didn't know that we could pick up theirs in the same way. So this book showed me that we can actually teach ourselves how to connect in, and it's a learned skill. It's not a special gift. Some people are better at it than others, just like some people are good at playing piano. But if you practice and you learn, everybody can play the piano.
So you think we all have the ability to communicate with animals?
We do. We all have the ability to communicate with the animals. It's our birthright. It's something that we are born with knowing. And it's something that we lose along the way because we are conditioned to believe that we cannot speak with our minds, that we cannot feel other feelings except, we are taught to only believe what we can see and what we can feel physically and what we can touch. Everything else is put down to our imagination, or it's not real, or you're being silly. So from a very young age we get taught traditionally to shut down all those feelings that we have. And the biggest thing we shut down is our connection with the animals, and not just the domestic animals. Some of us still manage to connect with the domestic animals because if we have them in our lives, and they're almost like a bridge between our domestic situation and their nature and the wildlife.
Wow.
So, your cat at home can actually help you to connect with the lions in the Timbavati. So,
wow, that's an interesting connection to follow, to discover actually.
And I think the reason why I say this is because the method of communicating with all animals and really all life is exactly the same. So when I'm connecting through absolute love and respect to Sunshine, I use that exact same connection that I have with her to connect with other animals, because I love all animals as much as I do Sunshine. And that is, she would like me to say otherwise. But it's not a human love. I call it a God love. It's a love that is, it just encompasses all. It's not conditional. Some people think that, oh well, I'll only love you if you love me back, or I'll only love you if you stay with me and if you do what I say. And that's very human and very conditional. But the love that we have when we're connecting with our animals is unconditional. I'm going to love Sunshine whether she wants to live next door with someone else, or if she bites me every time I touch her, I still love her for who she is, and that is the connection that I'm talking about.
It's beautiful. But do you think that the love that, this unconditional love that actually we must rediscover within, is easy to find, or we are all open to it already? Or is this the journey first within to connect with animals without on this way?
I think the animals help us to connect with that love because they are pure unconditional love. They will love us no matter what we do to them, and we've seen that in so many cases, even in with wild animals, where if you remember that big tsunami where the elephants took the children from the beach up to the mountain. Remember that big story? And those elephants had been chained and abused, but they still cared enough about the people to help save them. So that is a complete unconditional love. Back to your question about, is it easy to feel that love? For some people it's very easy, and some people are very warm-hearted and open-hearted and loving. Other people, because of maybe the experiences they've had in their life, if they haven't been shown much love from their parents or in their childhood, that can be difficult for them to expose themselves, to open their hearts, because they are scared of rejection or not receiving the love back. But what's so wonderful with the animals is you will always receive that love back. They don't care what you've done in the past, they don't care what you look like, they don't care how you feel or how you look or how you think. All they appreciate is that you love them and that you respect them.
So if we just a little bit return to your part, was the same that for you? Did you always feel such a love for the animals, from the young, and then somehow did you evolve into this, in the connection, and then you follow the path? I guess after reading this book, which was a breakthrough for you, probably. Yes. You went to England.
I did. I went to England and I studied with Amelia Kincaid. I just did a weekend workshop where we one of the exercises, she explained how it all works, and then she was sitting in the room full of 20 people with a little Jack Russell dog on her lap, and she asked the question to all the 20 people, ask the little dog what happened on his walk this morning. And nobody knew, nobody had spoken to Amelia, or nobody had been told what was happening with the dog. But every single one of us got that the dog had fallen into water. So I got an image of him slipping and splashing into water, so you get a mental image in your mind. Or some people got a feeling of them getting wet, or some people even just got a feeling of him being embarrassed and slipping. So that showed me, wow, that was the first time I thought, wow, I can do this, and this is real. This is not just my imagination, or there's a whole group of 20 people getting exactly the same information from an animal.
Wow, yes.
So how does that work unless the animal's communicating to them and telling them? So that's what just switched my mind to think, and it was my mind doubting myself. But once I realized this, I thought I need to develop this skill. And then I learned that it is a skill that we can develop. You don't have to be completely psychic. You don't have to, be a guru sitting on the mountain for years before you can do this. You just have to practice and trust that the feelings and the images that you get from the animals are real. And the more you practice, the more you work with them, the more you can start trusting yourself.
So you're talking now to sunshine all the time.
Yes, all the time. It becomes like another language. It becomes so natural. And they, amazingly, they pick up on our feelings. They don't have to do meditation or practice or clear their minds or trust themselves. They are always connecting with us, and they're always, when I'm feeling angry or upset or sad, Sunshine will come and be with me, and she'll either shout at me, meow at me and say, come on, you need to sort yourself out, or she'll, come and just sit and be with me if I'm feeling sad or sick. She knows how I'm feeling all the time. She understands.
That's great. But you think in all this time working with animals, your heart expanded in this time, or you feel more integrated as a person within because of sharing love with them?
Yes. And what I found, as a child, I was quite fearful of things. I was scared of heights. I was scared of so many things. In a physical world, I was very shy. I could never get up and talk to people. And then when I started working with the animals in this way, the fears of just being out there in the world started disappearing. And now I walk up the mountains with the baboons, and I go and sit next to lions, as you've experienced with me. So the fear of life itself has dissipated, which I think, and that comes down to that feeling of absolute open-hearted love, because fear is the opposite of love.
So you think the communication with animals actually help us also with communication between humans?
Yes, I think because we always, one of the rules of communicating to animals is always to be positive. So you must always, when you're sending messages to the animals, you have to always have a positive mindset. So when you want an animal, or you're asking an animal to behave in a certain way, we are asking them to, we are visualizing or seeing them behaving in that particular way. We're not harping on the negative. So if a cat is always scratching the couch, and we don't want to do that, we need to give them a positive alternative. So we want them to scratch their scratch post. That's a very basic behavioral thing. But in life, if you think about how we communicate with with other people, if we're always angry or negative to them, we don't get far at all. But if we speak to them, even if it's in the spoken word, not just telepathic, if we speak to them in a positive way, you get better results and better understanding. So I think that's what the animals have taught me as well.
That was just my question.
Yes.
What did animals teach you? What have you learned from them?
Yeah. I think the most important thing that the animals have taught me is to be in the moment and to live in the present. Because working with even the most distressed animals or the most traumatized and abused animals, if they are in a good space at that time, they don't let their trauma affect their present. So, or the trauma of their past affect where they are in that present moment. So you'll have a dog that's in a shelter and has just been rescued and has been terribly abused. But if it's a warm day and there's silence and there's peace about and there's people to love him and he's in a ray of sunshine, he will go and relax and be in that ray of sunshine. Without thinking, oh my God, I can't enjoy my life because I've been so abused. The thing that might trigger it is if someone comes a man with a black hat to reminds him of someone who abused him, so they're very, they do remember, but they don't let their memories make them stop enjoying the good things in life, so when they feel good, they really take advantage of the good times. And I think humans can learn a lot from that, because we tend to, even if everything is perfect in our lives, at this moment we keep thinking, oh, well, I had such a terrible childhood and how can I be normal because these terrible things happened. And of course you have to have compassion for people that have been in a bad way, but one of the wonderful things that the animals have taught me is that in that present moment, if everything is going well, enjoy that moment, because in that moment you're not being abused, you're not starving, you're not homeless. It's all good. So appreciate the good things in life.
I think we can learn much really from animals and connecting with them.
Very much.
But not only from domestic animals.
No.
As I know, you're working also with wild animals, and you mentioned baboons and white lions, and you can see actually your own picture of beautiful, majestic beings, white lions. Well, can you explain how you work with lions? How does this look like?
Yes. Well, Andrea, and it was another book. I think there's only been 2 books in my life that have changed my life, and the one was Amelia's book, and the second was Linda Tucker's book, Mystery of the White Lions. And it was when I had left South Africa, and I read this book, and it made me so homesick for Africa and lions. And lions have been something that's been a part of me in my memory since I was very young. I don't know why. I didn't grow up in the bush, or we maybe used to go to the lion park when I was little. And I just love lions. I used to dream of lions all the time when I was young. So this book of Linda's just really, I loved it, and I wanted to share. I just started working with animal communication, so I wrote Linda Tucker an email and I said, this is the work I'm starting to do, and I just wanted to share it with you. Never expecting a reply, but she did reply to me, and she wanted to meet me, which was wonderful. So I met Linda Tucker and Ian Player, who's a very famous conservationist who single-handedly brought the white rhino back from the brink of extinction many years ago. But I met them in Victoria Station in London, and we just connected straight away. Linda invited me to, when I was teaching a workshop in Johannesburg, to come and bring the group to see Mara, the lioness who she brought to freedom. And Mara at that time was still in the zoo in Johannesburg. And we actually didn't get to see her because she was in the dungeons below, but the group communicated with her, and we got messages from her. I got messages from Mara that were the same messages that Linda's sangomas and shamans and elders were giving her, about how important it was to have not only Mara but her 3 cubs, to get them to freedom, because Mara was there with the 3 cubs. And I think that is what Linda convinced Linda that this was something that, you know, I had a connection with the lions that she could work with, and we could work together on the project. So basically, I got involved from the very start with the White Lion Reintroduction Project with Linda and Jason Turner, the lion ecologist, and kind of every step of the way when there was a change, when Mara was released from her prison in the zoo, and there was all this new environment for her, there were new things happening. It was such a managed project that we had to explain to the lions what was going on and why they needed to be in certain situations, you know.
How do you do this, you know? How do you explain lions what to do? It's actually like, if we think of this with our human minds, it sounds surrealistic.
Yes.
But actually they get the message eventually. Yeah. So can you explain how this communication is running?
Well, every time we have a thought or feeling, we send an energy frequency from ourselves. So whether it's from our bodies or from our soul, from our hearts really. So when we're having a feeling or a conscious thought, it has a particular energy frequency. And that frequency and that thought is picked up from the animal that we are sending it to. And as I said before, they're always connected to us at all times. The key to connecting in this way, to be able to send and receive messages in this way, is the energy of love. So if you're in that energy frequency of love, not fear, not doubt, not anger, just pure unconditional love, you are on the same wavelength as the animal. And when you're on that same wavelength, literally, the animal will receive the message that much easier. And then the way we send the message, as I said again, is a positive. So if we're worried that the lions are going to jump over a fence, or go through to another part of the land, and then it's important for them to stay in the safe part of the land, we mustn't imagine them doing what we don't want to do. We have to have a very clear image in our mind of them doing exactly what we want them to do. So one of the stories that I like to tell, which was amazing, with Mara and her 3 cubs, when they were very settled in their new home in Timbabati, they were hunting for themselves. And the National Geographic video people were creating the film, and they needed footage of them hunting. And it had been 11 days, and the lions had not hunted in view of the cameras. They had hunted a couple of times in the bushes where the cameras couldn't get to. And the film crew were very frustrated, and they said, it's really important that we get this footage, because we need to show the world that these lions are apex predators, because people think that the white lions can't hunt because they can't be camouflaged. They think they're freaks of nature. So the project that Linda and Jason are, it's about showing that they are apex predators. They can survive so well in their natural environment. So it's very important for them to capture this on film. So when I arrived, everybody said, oh, well, Wynter can just tell them to do it. But amazingly, that's what we did. We went out into the vehicle at night. We went with 2 vehicles, a film crew in one, and Linda and myself and Jason in another. And we came across the lions, and they were so skinny, they hadn't eaten for a week. They were lying like flat cats in the road, just sleeping. This is at night. So we told them how important it was to hunt, to show the film that the film crew that they could hunt. And the message I got back was to say, but does Linda really want this film to happen?
Wow.
And what was quite interesting at the time was that Linda was having her doubts, because it was still very early days. It's 10 years on now, the project, but in those days it was very sensitive material, so she was still a little bit doubtful whether this should all go out. So the lions weren't cooperating because of Linda's doubts. And then Linda had to tell them, no, it has to, this is very important. Yes, I want you to go and hunt. So we did. We communicated that to them. We sent the image of them hunting an animal in the open plains with the vehicle there, with the camera, so that they could get the footage. And it was the most amazing thing, because half an hour later, 10 minutes after we spoke to them, they all got up and went off.
Wow.
And they hunted a warthog, and they pulled it out, and it was very funny actually, because the first one that they pulled out, the crew weren't ready with their camera. It was so quick, and they said, oh no, we can't, we missed it. So they went and then they got another warthog, and the camera was just ready, but not quite ready. And then the third time they went and they pulled the warthog out, and you actually get a glimpse of it on the National Geographic footage that you've seen. There's the lions, and I think Mara, or one of the lions, has the paw on the warthog, and even the warthog is looking at the camera saying, are you ready? And then they pounce.
Wow.
That was amazing. That was
It is amazing to see and to hear about it. So we can really see the animals are not only responding, they're actually thinking, and they're giving us, like, we are like alike. They're like humans in communication, or I don't know.
Well, they work with us. They really work with us, and they are just so aware of everything that is going on around them, beyond the physical, and they know when things are important and when things aren't. So.
And actually, as I now see from our conversation, is also that you cannot hide anything from animals. So it's very, we can do this between humans. We are not transparent in our communication.
Yes.
Is this something that animals can teach us also, to be like transparent, pure human beings with open hearts, because you cannot hide anymore?
Yes.
They pick up the energy.
Yes, very much, and they will show us when we actually even lying to ourselves sometimes. I had an amazing experience with my cat Biggles, who went missing at Cape Town International Airport on the runway. I mean, I've written my book about it. And it was the most traumatic experience of my life with an animal, because he went missing out of his box on the runway. He'd come from England. How do you find a cat in the middle of an international airport that's just disappeared? So it was a miracle that I got him back, and it was just through communication. It was, but I was working with a lot of animal communicators around the world, and they were saying, he's in this place, and then I would go to that place, and he would have been 2 steps. I would have missed him by 2 minutes. I kept missing him, and then I'd feel that he was in this place, and I'd go there, and someone had seen him 5 minutes before, but I kept missing him, and he wasn't coming to the place where I wanted him to come to. There was nothing. I was just not getting anything, and 6 weeks this went on for. And at the time I wasn't being honest with him, because I'd moved away from the UK to come back and live in South Africa. I'd split up with my partner at the time, And it was a bit of a difficult parting, and he was very connected to my partner. And my partner kept on saying to me, don't worry, we'll all be together again. I'm going to come back to live in South Africa and we'll all be together, and tell Biggles we'll all be together again. And that's what I was saying. But Biggles knew otherwise. And then the moment I realized it as well, and I was honest with myself, I said to Biggles, it's just going to be me and Sunshine and Fred and Calico. It's just going to be me and the girl cats, and that's it. So if you want to come and live with me and the cats without my partner, find someone who will do the right thing. Those were my words. The next day I got the phone call that he'd been found in a woman's garden. He'd phoned the animal welfare to say, there's this cat in my garden. They came and picked him up, and I got him back.
Amazing stories, really.
And that is, it's amazing in itself that he listened, but the lesson for me was always to be honest with myself, because the animals know when you're not being honest, and it's so important as humans to be honest with ourselves and with each other.
Yeah, and it was now in our mind like a question. When you work with animals, you actually have to work with people probably too. So you cannot hide from people working with animals.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe any comment on this?
Well, I was very upset when I realized I had to work with people to help the animals. Because when I first started, wanting to work with animals, it's because I didn't really like people very much. I just would see all the horrible things that people did in this world. When I first started working with animals, I realized that in order to help the animals, I had to work with people, which I wasn't very happy about, because I'd always not liked people very much, because you see all the bad stuff that people do and how awful it is, and that becomes so big in your life as an animal lover, that how animals are treated so badly by people. And I think many animal people don't like humans, they don't like other people. But it's another thing that the animals taught me, was that there are some very, very beautiful people out there as well. And also that this unconditional love, you have to extend it out to even the people that you don't like, even the people that are doing the bad things, the hunters, the people that are really abusing animals in horrible ways. There's something in them that is making them do that. Wynter Worsthorne, one of the high priests of Africa, the lion priests of Africa, a shaman, he says if we can conquer all the fear in the world, if we can face our fears, look into the face of our fears as we do in the face of our lovers, then all the ills in the world will be ended. And I really think that people do terrible things because of a deep fear inside them. A fear of not being in control, a fear of being dominated over, a fear of being thought of as weak. You get the gangs, in Cape Town here, you get terrible gang initiations where they have to do horrible things to animals to show that they can, to show that they're strong. And if they don't do it, they will be hurt. So a lot of abuses come from a fear or a fear of not having power or control. So if we can see beyond that to the soul of the person, the very essence of the person that can be transformed with love, then we can make a big difference to the animals by working with the people.
And also to the planet, I believe.
To the planet, yes. Well, the animals are just one part of the planet as we are, And if the people start taking responsibility and start feeling that connection with the animals, they automatically start feeling the connection with the planet and nature. We spoke about working with the lions. The lions are, if you have to look at a pyramid of the top animals that, lions are predators and they eat other animals that eat the grass, and that grass needs a good soil. So if you protect the lions, you're protecting the environment, you're protecting everything. So if you protect the animals, you have to protect the environment, and you have to stop polluting and stop using so much energy and, you know, electric energy and things like that. We have to start taking care of the resources that we have in order to survive.
Do you feel like animals are ready to accept people back into the balance with them?
I think they've always been ready to accept. They've been wanting us to be in balance with us for ever since we became separated, and I think they've been trying to show us the way for so long, but they just, we don't.
I guess this is yes.
Yes.
Are we people ready as a humanity? Are we ready? Are we already on this level of consciousness that we will be able to keep the balance with the animals in the field of unconditional love?
That's a good question, and I don't know if everybody is. I think a lot of people are still scared of connecting like that. So the fear is still such a big thing in humanity that they won't allow themselves to change and to be connected. So I think there's a percentage of humans that are ready, and hopefully that percentage is enough to raise the consciousness and to help others to be ready and to help keep the balance.
So maybe for a conclusion of our beautiful talk, and I could even talk more now with you because there's a lot to share, but still you're doing a great job in like raising the balance of the world with your workshops to teach people how to communicate with animals. And if we just touch a little bit of the fear, when you work with people, you probably you see a lot of fear in them.
Yes.
Are people afraid of, like, because this is very intimate then, connection. They have to open.
Yes. Yes.
Are you ready to open on that level already?
Yeah.
How do you feel from your workshops that you're doing?
I think more and more we are ready. You know, when I first started this work, there was a lot more skepticism about it. But the people were, you know, always coming on my workshops. They were ready. They wanted, the people who wanted to know really were ready. And more people are interested in it. So I think we are ready. We are ready, and we have to be, as otherwise it'll be too late. We have to be ready now. There is no choice. You either connect and go with the saving yourself and the planet, or you get left behind. I think.
So
yeah.
What is your next? What is your next step on your work journey?
Oh, I think I just need to continue. You know, just continue and trust and do whatever I need to, whatever is shown to me. And the animals always show me where I need to be, where I need to go.
You're having workshops in different places of the world.
Yes.
Right? It's Italy, it's England, it's
Yes.
South Africa. Anywhere else?
Well, not for now. I'm basing most of my work that I do, I'm based in South Africa now, and I focus most of my workshops with the White Lions of the Timbavati, so I take groups up there to the greater Timbavati area, to Tsao Conservancy, where's the protected area where the lions are roaming free. 7 white lions and 3 tawny lions are roaming free and self-sustained, you know, hunting for themselves, so free lions. But then I am running a workshop with Anna Breitenbach in London. She's become very well known with her work with spirit, and she has a movie called The Animal Communicator.
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
So we're doing an advanced workshop in London together on the 12th of April. I'm doing a talk in Modena in Italy on the 5th of April. And then back in South Africa in September, October to do more work with the lions and some introduction workshops perhaps in May in Cape Town.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Yes.
because I feel it's time for that
Mm.
we become part of one big picture together
Yes.
in our planet.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe your last message that you would like to share with people, or message from animals that you feel that
Yeah.
you can share.
I just think people need to, like I was told by my ancestors, it's time to wake up now. So wake up to the animals, wake up to what is going on, and really heal that separation sickness that is so present in this world. And only you can do it. Only you can do it by connecting with yourself. And that one connection will lead to another and to another and to another. And so we are all connected. We just need to wake up to that connection.
Wow, thank you very much, Wynter. Thank you for your time, for your this great place, and beautiful, beautiful answers and message that you're putting into the world. Um, Thank you very much to you that are watching this message. I hope it really touches your heart, and I invite you all to wake up, to connect with animals that are around us, because we are all one, and it's time to realize this and be a part of this big balanced picture of life. Thank you, and bye bye.